Hello, students. Today we will learn about the infection process of the disease. We know that plant diseases are caused by both biological and abiotic factors. For biological factors, there must be a process by which they infect plants. The continuous process of the pathogen from the point of contact with the host plant to cause the disease of the plant is called the infection process, referred to as the disease course. In general, the course of the disease is divided into 4 stages: contact period, invasion period, gleic period, and onset period. Let's look at the contact period first. This is the period when the pathogen contacts with the host or reaches the site of invasion and forms various invasive structures. In the contact period, the pathogen exists in the complex biological and abiotic environment, vulnerable to various factors, is the weakest link in the pathogen infection process, but also the most favorable stage and the best time to prevent the pathogen infection. Especially the use of protective fungicides at this time the best effect. In production, try to avoid the contact of bacteria with the host plant. Let's take a look at the following operations. Students pointed out which operation is more likely to make plants sick. The first is to water the plants in a flood irrigation way. As we can see, the bacteria washed by the water to the whole field, which actually increases the chance of the bacteria to contact the host. So this operation is not advisable. The second way is to water the plants by drip or spray irrigation. This method not only saves water, but also avoids a large number of soil bacteria from contacting the host plant. So it is often used in production. The second stage of the course of disease is the invasion stage. The invasion period refers to the period from the contact between the pathogen and the susceptible point of the host to the establishment of parasitic relationship with the host. Due to the different types of pathogens, there are some differences in the ways of invasion, mainly the following 3 ways. The first is direct invasion, which means that pathogenic organisms can directly penetrate the protective tissues of plants and invade the host, such as nematodes, parasitic seed plants, and many strong parasitic pathogenic fungi. The second is natural orifice intrusion. There are many natural pores on the surface of plants, such as stomata, water pores, skin pores, nectaries, etc., which can be used as the invasion pathway of pathogens, among which stomata is the main invasion pathway. The invasion modes of different pathogens are also different. Fungi invade from stomata in the form of bud tube or aprosorium after germination, while bacteria enter natural orifice with water droplets or water film on the surface of plants. Most fungi and some bacteria can enter through natural pores, but viruses cannot enter through this route. The third is wound invasion. Mechanical injury, insect injury, frostbite, natural crack, and artificial injury on the surface of plants can become the way of pathogen invasion. For example, viruses, weakly parasitic fungi, and most bacteria invade in this way. Plant viruses are very special. The wounds they need to invade cells must be micro-wounds where the injured cells do not die. Let's look at what conditions can cause such micro-wounds. For example, the harm of insects and grafting operations are all ways to cause micro-wounds. So remember, how do aphids spread viral diseases? They stab the plant through the suction mouth parts to suck juice, causing the virus to invade the need for micro-wounds, while they will also carry the virus to spread, causing plant virus disease. The third stage of the course of disease is the gleic stage. This is the period when the pathogen and the host establish a parasitic relationship and show symptoms. After the pathogens enter the host, they are not used to fighting alone, so they must use the host plant's nutrition to grow and expand, and reproduce in sufficient numbers in the host body before they begin to spread. Of course, different kinds of pathogens have certain selectivity for plant organs and tissues. Some agents are more house. Do not want to spread too far, only limited to the point of invasion near the formation of local spot infection, known as local infection. For example, fungal leaf spot disease. We can see from the picture that the disease has a clear regional occurrence. And some pathogens in line with the principle of host is so big. I want to see spread from the point of invasion, causing whole plant infection, called systemic infection. For example, tomato bacterial wilt. The whole plant shows obvious symptoms. Such an ambitious pathogen is really giving us a headache. The length of the glaic period varies greatly, usually about 10 days, depending on the type of disease, the characteristics of the host plant, the pathogenicity of the pathogen, and environmental conditions. If the host plant grows well and becomes more resistant to disease, the glade period will be prolonged. The last stage of the course of disease is the onset period. This is the time when the disease progresses further after symptoms appear. It is a time when pathogens proliferate and expand to cause harm. Some diseases, such as powdery mildew seen here, have symptoms that appear at about the same time as the cause. Most fungal diseases are the first symptoms, after a period of time to form pathogens on the surface of the plant. So we also said earlier, the identification of fungal diseases sometimes need to moisturize the sick plant for a few days and then observe its pathogens. Okay, that's what we're going to learn today. Have you figured out the stages of plant disease? Let's review it again. The process of plant disease infection is divided into 4 stages. The first is the exposure period, which is the most favorable period for disease control. The second is the invasion period, which can be divided into direct invasion, natural opening invasion, and wound invasion. Here I ask the question, how does the virus get in? The third is the glade period, where we talk about local diseases and systemic diseases. Finally, there is the onset period, which is the last period of disease development, and the pathogen will proliferate at this time. Please think about how to avoid diseases invading from wounds. Look for any mechanical wounds on the plants on campus. Take a photo and post it to a WeChat study group for students to communicate and discuss. At the same time, self-study disease infection cycle. Class, that's all for today's lesson. See you next time.